Hello once again, rabies and genitals and somewhat smaller demi-goblins. Some of you have recently asked how Dark Heresy actually works, what the mechanics are, you'd like to find out more about it. Or some of you have been trying to find people perhaps locally around you who you can't quite encourage to play it. Well, this is a video to do my best to explain somewhat about the mechanics system so you know what to expect. Then perhaps if they were to watch this, they could perhaps decide whether it's their sort of thing or not. You can see some of the stat sheet stuff on the character sheet video I did. I'll show you that anyway, you'll be able to see it over there. Do check that out if you're curious to what my character sheet looks like for my assassin. The stats are weapon skill, so that's how likely you are to hit in melee. Ballistic skill, how likely you are to land a shot when you fire it. Strength, how either physically strong you are, so that could be striking with a melee weapon and how much damage you'll do. If you're stronger, you'll do more damage. Or it could be to do with trying to climb something or even intimidate someone would use strength. There's your toughness, so literally how hardy you are. Diminish wounds you might otherwise have taken. Then we've got agility. This gives you your quick-footedness, your ability to make maneuvers, and also your likelihood of striking first for initiative. Then there's your intelligence, just information, raw information you know, your knowledge center for all of those lore checks, if you like, you know. Then you've got your perception, so how likely you are to hear or see something to perhaps give you an edge in a situation or spot something that someone else might otherwise miss. You might be perceptive enough to see through a disguise, or for instance, if it was like a characteristic duel, perhaps someone's trying to sneak up on you and they are using their agility as a role versus maybe your perception. So you can duel it out with your stats, see if they get to sneak up on you or if you spot them first. Then we've got willpower. So that is your inner strength of mind, how balanced and strong you can maintain under external difficulties that affect you internally. That could be witnessing something horrific, some terrible thing that might drive you insane and give you insanity points. And then finally, fellowship. So this is essentially charisma, how well you can communicate, how likable you are to people. I suppose it could affect your bartering skills and how likely you are to get what you want out of speaking. It would also be involved in your attractiveness. So if you were particularly ugly or you had a mutation, then it's going to lower your fellowship. Alright, so the way these stats present themselves are as a number out of 100. Dark Heresy uses a percentile dice system. So you roll 2 d10s. This is a d10 game, and that generates your random number out of 100. When you roll a die against your characteristic, you've got to hope the dice don't beat your stat or you fail the test. And of course, when you skill up, level up, then you can add 5% each time when you spend your experience, where given, on your stats if you so wish, or on other things such as skills and talents which work with the stats. But the stats, they are the core essential parts of you down the middle, and as long as they're strong, everything else that channels off of it becomes stronger too. So it's a good idea to keep those up, and depending on your class, certain stats will cost more experience. So if you're a particularly up close and hitty type of person, and that's as part of your career package, then every time you try and upgrade your weapon skill or strength perhaps, those will be cheaper to buy. But every time you try, for instance, to do intelligence or ballistic skill, those will be somewhat higher. Quite a lot higher, depending on how opposite the stat is to your natural class type. Okay, so you can see my friend Pete's character sheet here. He plays an arbitrator. So you can see down the centre there, he's got the characteristics, and you'll see the top one is weapon skill. So he's got a 36% chance, unmodified, of hitting with a melee weapon if need be. He's got a ballistic of 33, so a 3% less chance of hitting with a ranged shot. Now you see that the other ones, I've got a circle to the side. Now this gives you your bonus. Strength there, which is the third one, you'll see is 32. His strength bonus is 3, so it's always the first digit. So his strength bonus might add to certain weapons. Some weapons they say, okay, well it uses whatever damage, like 1d10 damage plus strength bonus or something, you know, this sort of thing. So he wouldn't get strength bonus to be 4 until he's 40 something. They all have a bonus except weapon skill and ballistic skill indeed. This then leads me on to skills. The things in particular that you are good at, and each of those relates specifically to a stat. At the top there, awareness, and that uses perception. Barter uses fellowship. So you can see all of these have stats connected to them. Look, dodge uses agility, AG. Evaluate uses int. If your rank allows you to increase that skill, you can increase it by plus 10 or plus 20, and there might be certain other things that already give you a loaded bonus to certain skills based on your career or background or whatever it is that you've happened to have chosen. Things like swim uses your strength, and scrutiny uses your perception, search is perception, silent move is agility. Talents and traits, that's a bit different. They don't have a stat connected to them. They normally give you passive abilities that might give you bonuses to your play or things to remember. So the sort of thing I'm talking about are things like types of weapon training, primitive weapon training for example, or solid projectile basic weapon training, or certain pistol weapon trainings based on your career. If you're a noble, as is Pete's case here, he's got peer nobility plus 10 to fellowship tests. So that actually when he does take a fellowship test, even though his fellowship is 36, which gives him a fellowship bonus of 3, if he's actually taking the test, he'd go, right, well, 36 plus 10 is 46 for the purposes of this test, so I'm actually 46% likely to succeed in this test. Also bear in mind that depending on the difficulty of the task, there can be plus or minus modifiers of 10. Could be like, oh, a plus 10 test, or even easier plus 20, or really easy plus 30. So let's just say you had to try and convince your father, who very much likes you and he's very happy with you because you've just done something to make him happy, to do you a favour, and you've got fellowship 36, and in his case he's got that ability there that gives him his plus 10. His 36 becomes 46, and then because the test is really easy because of the circumstances, it'd be 46 plus 30, so that's 76% likelihood of succeeding in that test. So you roll the 2 dice and then you get your number out of 100 and you're probably going to succeed. If you don't have dice with tens on and the other one with digits on, then you can just have a system really. If you've just got 2 lots of the d10 dice, you could run the same system as I do. Take the roll as being whatever is on the left to right or top to bottom if there is no clear left or right after you've rolled them, basically. Here's my little dice bag. Cool, huh? Another talent and trait here he's got is rapid reload, so he can reload at half value. And that reminds me, that will bring me on to the next point we're going to cover really quickly. And this is a very basic mechanics rundown of how things work here, you know? By no means have I covered everything. I haven't got into advanced skills, some of the ones that don't come naturally to you perhaps. And I haven't got into psychic powers. I'll just mention it as if to say that you can be a psyker or something and therefore can have psychic powers, and you basically keep track of them like a list of spells would, you know. You earn experience points as you play, and you spend those experience points in areas you want. All the time you're a rank 1, you can buy the rank 1 things, anything from those, or stat upgrades if you can afford them, or try and buy certain talents and traits and things that your rank 1 will allow. Rank 2 is decided by how much experience you've spent. So once you've spent a certain window of experience, you then automatically become rank 2, and you can then start spending from either rank 1 or rank 2. Ranks above will give you upgrades to the ones you've already taken, so in that case you just add a bit of extra proficiency onto it, and it carries on like that all the way up to rank 8. And then they've got something called Ascension that allows you to go from 9 to 16. Regarding what your character can do in each combat round, before it comes round to your turn again, in initiative order, you can have actions that are full actions, or half actions, or sometimes things take longer than one action. Things might take like 2 actions and you're stuck there, continuing to try and do that extended action. It was the same thing in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. In the case of like a lot of guns, you shoot them and then you spend the whatever it is to reload them, however much of an action, and you might have a bonus in that that shortens that. So if it was a full action, the reload, then you're using the full turn next turn just to reload the gun, and you don't even get to shoot it. But there might be certain things you can do to push that and gain a little bit of an extra bonus. I've got the combat actions chart here. You can make an all-out attack. That's a full action, and it gives you like plus 20 to weapon skill. Cannot dodge or parry. You've got a charge, which again is a full action, so you take the whole turn just doing this. You must move 4 meters worth. It's a good idea to track these things with model miniatures. And it gives you plus 10% to your weapon skill. And there are quite a few. Defensive stance, feint, full auto burst, grapple, guarded attack, knockdown, multiple attacks, overwatch, semi-auto burst, standard attack, stun, suppressing fire. You've got move actions, which are disengage, jump / leap, maneuver, move, run, stand / mount, tactical advance. You've got miscellaneous actions such as aim. You can choose to do a half action aim or a full action aim. So plus 10 bonus to hit as a half action. So that's your ballistic skill. So if you use your half action to do a shorter aim, then you gain plus 10% onto that. So in the case of Pete's character here, he's ballistic 33, so if he did a half-action aim, then he'd be 43% likely to hit at neutral modifiers. You can get plus 20 to hit as a full action on your next attack if you, of course, spend it as a full action instead. And then you have to wait to the turn after to actually fire the shot. You can delay, you can dodge, focus power, which is psychic, parry, ready, reload, or use a skill. And then when combat breaks out, everybody, quite simply, just looks at their agility. In the case of Pete's sheet here, his agility is 38, roll a d10, add whatever he rolls to that, and everybody will do that. Enemies will do that too. Then everybody fights in the initiative order of highest to lowest. You can also do other things to try and push your initiative roll up, but again, it's a sacrifice for the day. The way they've actually made receiving damage work is, let's just say you're dealing an enemy some damage, you will generate an amount of wounds on him from possibly the roll of a die plus a guaranteed amount of damage your weapon does. You then generate a body part that it will hit. So we've got a chart here with different body parts on. So the head is 1 to 10 on a die. And we see here the body is 31 to 70. And you'll see some numbers written in those boxes, and there are armor points. So you generate what part of the body is hit. So let's just say you hit the right arm. This person might have really thick gauntlets on or something. So he might be particularly armoured on the arms. So you've struck something, and then that armour will come off of the wounds you've just caused. So you calculate all the wounds that have been done, and then you start removing those wounds. However much armour the figure is comes off of the wounds you've just dealt, and also the toughness bonus of the person. So in Peter's character's case, he is toughness 36, and as such his toughness bonus is 3. That takes 3 off of any damage he will receive. Advantageous circumstances of cover can also minus wounds off depending on the thickness of the cover. So it's really quite simple. Calculate damage, take off that damage from various factors, whatever's left, apply that damage. I hope this has helped you understand what Dark Heresy is, and I hope it is going to be of some use to you. And this has been Robert J. Fremantle, and I'm now signing off. Knowledge is power. Guard it well.